selected in your time at Leicester. Obviously, the one thing with it though is pretty much all of those guys, aside from Reece Ruddock, haven't played a game in a few weeks. Is it just a natural risk that you've had to take that, if you are going to be resting those guys with a couple of games down in South Africa, that you do run the risk that there's a little bit of rustiness come Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, there is. I think with the way the schedule is, the way it played out, and obviously when you start putting the plan together, yeah, there is. There's risk bringing players down there. There's risk leaving players here. So there's trying to manage that as best we possibly can, mitigate for it all, and for us now over the last couple of weeks, just been about preparing with a massive game in mind. It's an amazing challenge. We know how tough it is in terms of the history of the competition, winning away the knockout games in Europe. So great test for our guys, and everyone's excited now, looking forward to the challenge.
If I could just ask about Leicester Tigers, what is it you've seen from them over the course of the season? Like, what are their main strengths that you have to fight against?
Well, I suppose it's the traditional DNA of Leicester Tigers, which is very, very strong fundamental, strong set piece. I know from my time there what even that was like. I can still remember it's the Tuesday mornings, and the work that they put in. So it's based on hard work, and their game always has been. They built a lot of their success on hard graft, as they would say. They're just a very workmanlike team. The team they have at the moment, they brought in a fair bit of international star quality amongst obviously some of the local guys that they have there as well. So very strong kicking game through their halfbacks with Ben Youngs and George Ford, but around set piece in particular. Line out drive obviously has always been a huge part of their game there. So they're a team that just works hard. So there's a lot to like about what they're doing over there at the moment.
Alright, cheers Leo, good luck tomorrow.
Thank you, Neil.
Hi Leo, alright, thanks. Joe Coffin here from Virgin. How are you keeping?
Good, Joe, yeah.
So James Ryan is selected straight back from injury and into the side. Can you just give us an idea of what impact you're hoping to get from James, both in terms of leadership and his playing ability?
Yeah, James is such a key guy for us over the last number of years, so with Leinster and Ireland. So good to see him back. He's come through everything. Could have pushed him for those Connacht games earlier, obviously before we went away on tour, but he's been working away, been training for the last 4 or 5 weeks now, so he should be good to go hopefully, and excited to see him back out there.
Just continuing that theme of physicality, Leicester have only lost 4 games in the competition, and a lot has been made of their defence and how robust it is. Are they the most physical test you're going to have so far in the competition, and how big of a role will the set piece in getting that right be in winning this match?
Set piece will be huge. Yeah, as I touched on earlier, it's the work that they put in for each other. If you saw their game against Bristol at the weekend, it sums up the way they've played this season. They bring a lot of intensity to the game. I know there was quite a bit of emotion in the ground last week with Tom Youngs leading the team out, but it's based on the strong fundamentals is their game plan. So in terms of set piece, strong kicking game, strong chasing game, Kevin Sinfield who's does their defence. Again, I'm just hearing sound bites from players, and would have followed him as a rugby league player and know what a strong character he is. So you can see that in the players themselves now. So they have that strong work ethic, and which is all important. So we know it's going to be a huge test for our guys, and that's what it's going to be like at this stage of the tournament. So we're away in a great rugby ground. I've been lucky enough to have played there myself as a player for that team, and played against them as well. So I understand both sides of it. For me to go over there in England, the reason I went to England at the time was because I had so much respect and admiration for Leicester Tigers as a club. So I think I went there in 2005 Leicester won Europe in early 2000s, 2001, and like you were trying to find out what a successful club looked like from the inside. So I was lucky enough to experience that. And they're, when I'm watching them now at the moment, it's like they're back in that sort of vein, I guess. So it's I know it's going to be a great challenge. But again, this is why we do all the work all season ourselves, to play against the best teams in Europe. And Leicester are definitely in that bracket at the moment. They've won all their games at home this season. So we need to have to pull in a very, very special performance for us to get a result over here.
Yeah, and just one final one from me. There's 12 Ireland internationals in your side, so obviously very, very strong side you're lining out yourself. Is it the strongest Leinster side you've had under your management?
I don't know. I hope they're all strong. Doesn't matter week to week. Last week over in South Africa, I thought we had a strong team as well. They might be a little bit less experienced. So for us, it's just making sure we always prepare the players as well as possible as coaches. And we've got a group here now that are hungry to be successful. We were certainly frustrated the way Europe ended for us last season. We've got a group that they've worked hard all year to get themselves into this situation. Selection has been tough this week because a lot of good players have missed out as well. But that's what you need. You need, like, if you want to be successful in the two competitions that we're in, and the top English and French teams are no different. Leicester, when I was there, and even if you look through their squad now, because they've so much good quality homegrown talent, international players, as in English international players, but then added to that, then you've a dozen guys that have probably played for other international teams. So the quality they have sprinkled across their squad is huge. So it's going to be a massive test for us, because for us, it's, as we know, the model is slightly different. We bring through more local guys and homegrown guys, and we're lucky in terms of a lot of guys have gone on and progressed, as you touch on, to represent Ireland in recent seasons. So hopefully we can draw on some of that experiences that they've had, not only this season but in seasons prior to that as well. So as I said, it's not going to be easy, but I think the guys have worked hard now and we're excited and ready to go.
Thanks, Leo.
Hey, it's Michael Thornton here, just developing that point there in terms of bringing through your experience and winning the game. If I can use the soccerism for a second, Jurgen Klopp was described as Liverpool players as mentality monsters. You described for Leinster players mentality monsters. Explain what that interpretation.
Yeah, I watched the game, the mentality monsters. Yeah, my son, 7-year-old, is a Liverpool fan, and I'm an Everton fan. So yeah, I usually get a lot of abuse from him. But yeah, what Liverpool are doing obviously is quite special at the moment. Yeah, although Villarreal put it up to them, and 2-2 at half, or obviously they're down 2-0 going in, so 2-2 over the two games. So and again, like, that's the mentality piece of the games, like when you're playing those playoff games, so when the momentum is maybe shifting away from you, so it's making sure you have that strong mentality to understand, well, what it is, what's the plan, and how can we tweak the plan based on some of the pictures that we're seeing, because obviously those two Champions League semi-finals drew up plenty of things. Man City looked like they were home and hosed, coming to the end of the game, and suddenly Real Madrid hit them for 2 goals as well. So there's lots of bits in terms of the mentality of these knockout games that we can certainly take from it. So mentality monsters, I'm not sure, but there's definitely lots of learning in those two, like, huge knockout games, away from home as well. Obviously Man City look like they have the job done, whereas they lose it at the end. And for us, if we're in that situation, either of those situations really, like whether you're behind or ahead, it's making sure that you if you're ahead, it's finishing the job, and obviously if you're behind, that you're scrapping to the very, very end. Because we have extra time in this competition as well if it goes to a draw. So and understanding those permutations. So it's just making sure all the right prep is done. So however the game plays out, that you're still in it to the very end, and that's the most important piece for us.
What will it take for you to win the game?
I think it's bringing the right level of intensity and being able to impose our game. Like, I think we have an understanding of the type of game that Leicester bring, which they try to squeeze you. So it's making sure that we don't get too frustrated with some of that squeezing, because we know they're going to kick a lot, and they'll go be aggressive around the contact area, around the breakdown. So making sure we get our own detail right. You know, there's the interpretation of the referee is so key around the ruck in particular, because some of those calls, I often think there's, you know, supporters in the crowd sitting in the stands wondering, like, what way is the arm going to go on some of those calls. So it's the interpretation of that, making sure our guys are figuring that interpretation out very, very quickly in the game. And again, like we've touched on the set piece battle, like that, we're making sure that we're on top in all those areas of the game. You know, we've got an experienced front row, experienced forward pack now at this point in time as well. So making sure that they're able to all impose themselves on the game.
Good man, thanks very much.
Nick Mullins, please.
Morning, Leo. Thanks for your time. Thoughts on Matthew Reynal at the scrum? Have you given that a great deal of thought this week, given what we saw at Twickenham?
Yeah, no, we've had a fair bit of discussion, and there was a fair bit of feedback coming off that game as well. So, you know, in terms of some of those EPCR clips, yeah, some of what England were doing that day in Twickenham has been well flagged, particularly around Ellis Genge and, you know, what they term as sidesteps left and hidden and chasing as well. So a lot of that has come out through the EPCR channels and some of the feedback post the Six Nations as well. So yeah, for our guys, just making sure that we're, as I said, just trying to impose ourselves in around some of those set piece tussles. But you know, these playoff games, it's a huge part of the game. So yeah, no, great, exciting challenge in store for the big boys. Going hard at it. You know, and they're two good forward packs going at it, so it'll be a good old challenge.
And what do you say around the ruck? What are his go-tos, his peculiarities?
Obviously, he did that game extra Munster, and again, it's just for players to understand. Like it's you know, painting strong pictures is the big thing. You know, in terms of the contact piece, like, so whether you're carrying into contact, that you're winning some of those contact points, and same from a defensive point of view, that you're strong in those contacts from a defensive point of view as well. So yeah, no, really good challenge for us. You know, Leicester have plenty of threats in terms of poachers. Jasper Visa, Tommy Raffel, Montoya as well has been very effective so far in the tournament. So they've got that good foreign flavour in there, so they have amongst their Leicester men.